Hey everyone, Greta here. Today we are going to talk about how you can never master, quote unquote, a yoga pose. So there are a lot of advertisements out there who say that you can master, I don't know, like maybe a wheel pose or handstand with like 3 sessions or 5 sessions or by the end of this workshop or by the end of the training. I know they use the word master as more like a gimmick. It's more like a lure to get people to sign up to the workshop easier and faster because the word master is just so tempting. Who wouldn't want to be a master? Who wouldn't want to be like a very knowledge person in that particular area? However, I really, in the yoga realm, I don't think that you can ever master a yoga pose. Now, let me explain how I feel the word master. So to me, the definition of the word master is you have basically conquered every single aspect of it. You know from head to toe, from outside to inside, from side to side, every single thing about this object, this subject, and in this case, it's a yoga pose. So if you put in the context of playing a video game, it's basically you have finished level 1, so now you're in level 2. You don't have to go back to level 1 anymore. And if you do go back to level 1, you do the same thing. There will be no new techniques or no new tactics because you've been there, you've done that. So when you go back to it again, you just repeat. So back to the context of a yoga pose. If you have mastered a yoga pose, to me, I feel that if you're doing it again for the second, third, fourth, so on and so forth, you will simply be extracting what you have done from before and apply to now. So basically, you are using your memory to do the pose. And that's not very yoga. So for yoga, it's more about, being in the present moment with awareness, consciousness, mindfulness. So if you are using your past to do the now, how is that being yoga? Now, of course, when you do a yoga pose, of course you have to learn it. So let's just say a downward facing dog. Of course, you have to know where to place your hands, where to place your feet, where to look, and what muscles to use and all that. But, do you remember the first time when you did your first down dog? And compared to the downward facing dog you're doing now, are they any different? Are they different? Are they the same? The reason why I'm using downward facing dog is because downward facing dog is one of the most popular yoga shapes that we do in a physical yoga practice. And a lot of times in just one session, we don't do it just once, we do it more than once. So over time, how you treat your down dog is very important. I remember when I first did my down dog, my heels could not touch the floor. And I had to, do a lot of warm-ups or flow for a little while before my heels could actually touch. And now my heels, because I've been practicing for a very long time, my heels could actually touch the floor, even in the first downward facing dog. So that is already very different, right? In a yoga practice, and hopefully when you are practicing yoga, it's not a one-off thing or not a very short-term journey. I'm hoping that when you practice yoga is a long-term art. It should change because you age, and because hopefully through every practice there's something that is being observed, that's being explored. So even though, let's say, downward facing dog, where you place your hands, where you place your feet, and all that stuff would not change, but how you enter the shape, how you stay in the shape, and how you exit, muscular level, energetic level, your mind, hopefully they will evolve. And for down dog, there are actually a few variations in down dog. Are you doing the same variations throughout your entire yoga journey, or have they changed over time? So let's use me for example. Again, for downward facing dog, I remember when I first did it, it was purely that I wanted to have the heels on the floor, and then eventually I did. And then for a while I did the back bending version. So I was really going to aim that head down to the floor version. And then slowly I picked up Ashtanga, and my down dog changed to the other way, the opposite way. So my head was not going to touch the floor. It's more like a less of a back bend variation. So just that down dog on the physical level is very different. And on the energy side, on the energy layer, it's a lot different than how I did when I first started my yoga journey. When I first started, there was no energy involved. I wasn't paying attention to my energy. I was paying a bit of attention to my breath and a little bit in the mind. But now it's flipped. So a lot of energy, a lot of mindfulness. How is my mind? How am I doing everything? And for the physical, is less attention or less focus. Well, I shouldn't say less focus, but I'm not really, how should I say this? Well, maybe, yeah, I am paying less attention to how my muscles are working in my down dog, because unlike when I first started my yoga practice, again, because my heels couldn't touch the floor, so I was really aiming for that. But now I'm not so much about how I look on the outside anymore, but how I feel. Can I breathe properly? Can I take an extra breath? How is everything as one and not just on just one layer? So I think that's really the beauty of yoga, is that it's always changing. It changes, it ages, so does your body, and so does your mind. Hopefully your mind also age. Age with wisdom, though. So a lot of people tend to find yoga boring is because, there are only a certain amount of shapes. There are a lot of new shapes invented along the way, but if you're talking about the foundation, it's always those few shapes. And a lot of times people become bored with them because they are already used to how the body works in those shapes. But because yoga is timeless, how you approach every single yoga practice should be a little bit different, should always be new. There should always be something to explore. Even for me, I've been practicing for 17 years now. Ouch. Even when I do down dog or Surya Namaskar sun salutations, it's still very enjoyable. I could always find something new to learn, something foreign to explore. So it should be fun. And having the word master means that you have basically stopped learning, because you have learned everything there is about it. So there's no more to learn. And I find it very sad. That you've reached the end of something, but that something actually has no end. So you have basically stopped yourself from learning because of the word master, because you master something. Again, it's more like an ego thing. I know it's always used to promote a workshop, promote something, and it's easier for people to understand. And also having a goal is always nice, rather than just saying, oh, we're going to explore handstand. Like, what do you mean explore? Explore is a very vague word, whereas master is a very concrete word. But then, when you are doing a yoga practice, I hope that you're not really having this intention of I want to master something. Um, Instead, be humble enough to take a step back and to learn, or to be curious and to keep digging or keep check out what's new. Of course, the more complex shapes, the shapes that you're not familiar with, it's always easier to find a challenge, but it's often those foundations that are a lot simpler, a lot more accessible, that people tend to find it very boring or tend to rush through. It's always those foundations that teach us a lot, teach us more than the complex shapes, because the complexity of the shape is so easy to make someone humble. It's the foundations, the more accessible shapes that are a real challenge. Okay, so that's it for my sharing for today. And I'll see you again soon. Take it easy.